Hello everyone, welcome to Melissa's Musings. So I am not live, this is fully pre-recorded because for some reason Facebook has taken away my opportunity and my ability to go live. I don't know why, it seems like I'm being punished, but that's okay because I'm smarter than Facebook and I'm smarter than technology and I'm still coming to you Tuesday at noon. Even though the last few weeks they've made it quite difficult for me to come to you guys. So hi, I'm not live, but still here, ready to go, noon on a Tuesday for Melissa's Musings. And what has been coming up for me lately is how much energy there is behind declarations and how much energy we really need to put towards those declarations in order for them to become accomplished. So at the start of the year, or as we approach the start of the year, December tends to be a time of year where people are like, ooh, in the new year, or oh, my resolutions, or starting January 1st, right? There's this disconnection from, there's a connection to wanting to do things and wanting to propel ourselves forward in January, but a disconnection from wanting to do it now. But regardless, as we approach the new year, it's a time of year where a lot of us are extra hyper aware and very cognizant of what we ideally want to be doing, right? It's like the time of year that goals are really front and center, that New Year's resolutions are things that we really want to be focusing on. So we start to really think about what are the things that I want for my new year. And as cliche as it may be, I've been seeing all of these posts like, there's X amount of days of the decade. Well, realistically, like, what do you want to do this next decade of your life? What are the things that you get to declare? And being that we're heading into not only a new decade, but a new year and a new month, you get to make some massive declarations. And in my life, where I have seen myself personally transform light years, like leaps and bounds of transformation, it's when I've made massive declarations, put a ton of energy behind them, and then used those declarations to propel and actually achieve success in the goals that I set. So one of the things that we do very often, for example, when we chose that we were going to move to San Diego, John and I proceeded to set that declaration and tell everyone and their mother that that's exactly what we were planning on doing. So we were gearing up for a move and doing all the things that we got to do in order to make that happen, like list my house for sale, sell everything we owned, all of those logistical items. And we literally were physically telling verbally every single person that we knew and that we could come in contact with what we were planning on doing so that they could hold us accountable. So even though that those individuals did not realize they were accountability buddies at the time, they were absolutely accountability buddies. They were people that we declared what we were going to be doing to. And of course, if we weren't going to accomplish that, those people would probably be like, hey, weren't you planning on going to San Diego like 6 months ago? Like, did that no longer happen? So when you set the declarations and you start saying them and you set the intentions and you start to actually declare and communicate and facilitate communication and the fact that you're actually doing and declaring this and it's going to absolutely happen, you set a lot of energy in motion. You start propelling that goal absolutely into motion and it's going to happen, because if it's not, people are going to be asking, right? So you're that much more likely to accomplish it. I recently set the declaration of wanting to do Sober January. Now, do I want to do Sober January? Yes and no, right? The part of me that knows I want better habits and more rigor in my calendar and a really robust start to my year is like, hands down, you want Sober January. And the lazy part of Melissa, that like piece of shit part of all of us that wants us to lay on the couch and be lazy and do nothing all the time, is like, don't tell anyone you're doing Sober January because you don't actually want to do it. I know that there's a weekend where I'm going to be really freaking anxious and just want a glass of wine, or like, whatever another vice might be in that moment. I'm literally thinking of potentially going as hard as not even having over-the-counter medicine. So like 0 drugs at all, including things like Advil. I might be a little bit crazy. I'm also thinking about playing around with no caffeine at all during January either. I'm definitely crazy. But that being said, I'm setting these declarations now. I have posted on my Facebook that I'm doing Sober January. I've told my friends. I've literally started to actually create an accountability group. So finding little individuals who are also enrolled in not doing or in doing a Sober January. So I am declaring what I plan on doing, and not only declaring it for myself, I'm setting energy in motion for myself. I'm telling people that I know if they see me with a drink in my hand on January 7th, they're going to be like, yo, bitch, didn't you say that you were doing a Sober January? What are you doing? It's the same way like a couple months ago when one of my really good friends, I'm going to give Therese a little shout out here. Therese was doing no sugar, and she was like telling me how she was declaring it. She was like, I'm doing no sugar this week. It's super intense for me. It's so difficult. I would love for you to like hold me accountable. And I was like, how accountable do you want me to hold you? And she was like, very, like, I absolutely want to do this. And I was like, spit that cough drop right out of your mouth. And she was like, oh shit. And she literally had to spit the cough drop out. So sometimes even if it's unintentional on our end, sometimes we're so programmed to just, you know, for example, like I might just go to take a sip of coffee and be like, oh my goodness, I need energy, where I want everyone around me, because I've declared it so much, to be like, wait, didn't you say that you weren't doing coffee this month either? So I can check myself. So when we powerfully declare things, they are being set out into the universe. That energy is really being pushed out, not only for ourselves, but with each individual that we are telling, and with each time that we're declaring something, we're actually like multiplying the chances of its success. So as you are lining up for some really big goals of 2020, I know I, for one, am starting to really verbalize and put into words the things that I plan to accomplish this upcoming year. For example, I've started to tell my team that I fully plan on having John and I crush 52 transactions next year, with 76 at least for the team. I fully plan on going to Greece. I told my mom that until you see me waving on the beach in Greece on my Facebook, that no other trips should be put past my face, because I get to go to Greece before I get to go anywhere else. I've set some really powerful declarations on my savings goals for the new year. John and I have some very aggressive and rigorous savings goals. We want to be debt-free by the end of 2020, which for us means paying off a lot of debt from starting off this business, from building out our home here. So by just setting these declarations and saying these things, and by putting them into words, it will truly help us to not only manifest the success, but to really put the pressure on ourselves to see the things that we want to fruition. I know that I, for one, want a Sober January, but 10 days in the middle of a breakdown, I may be truly stepping into like a fuck this sober month. However, I fully hope that my declarations, who I've surrounded myself with, and my commitment, because I've declared it to so many people, because I know how many are holding me accountable, that these things are going to be successful, and that I'm going to rock them out of the park. So I hope that this message comes to you on a Tuesday at noon when you need to hear it most. Facebook, I'm beating the system. I am here Tuesday at noon. Please give me my live abilities back so I can be live next Tuesday. But as I transition into the new year, I can't even believe that we're approaching 300 episodes of Melissa's Musings. I think I'm probably going to hit 295, because I think as we hit 2020, I'm actually going to be transitioning into another beautiful chapter of what this looks like. And my mom thought of a really creative name for it. So give me ideas of what you think the next show should be named, if you have an idea. I have some good ideas, but would love yours. And I love you guys. Hope you're having an amazing Tuesday. I'll talk to you soon.